Going Through the Fires of Life with Jesus by Pastor Robert McKim. Chapter 18. Meeting a woman from Michigan and her moving in with me. I met this woman from Michigan and she moved in with me here in Ohio. My parents were not too happy with her and wouldn't let me of her stay with them. I had a conversion van, but it was not big enough to live in. We did stay in it and stayed in hotel rooms till we rented an old mobile home in Coshocton, Ohio. We lived there for a while till I saw her on the computer late one night exposing herself to men on the computer. I had a sheriff come to talk with her about this. She got mad at me and started to take off that night. I found out that she was going and talking to another man in the mobile home park. She went shopping one day with some neighbors and came back with more than what we needed. She bought 2, 3, and 4 of everything. This was going on during August of 2005, and then it hit, Hurricane Katrina. I told her that I wanted to help because I have all the training with the American Red Cross. She was not too happy. My youngest son, his girlfriend, and her brothers were staying with us, and one evening after something she used as a stress relief got broke, and all the small beads that were in it all came out. When she got home from visiting other men, she got mad and went off on us. She was yelling so much that a neighbor girl came to try to talk to her. The neighbor girl had small children that were being kept awake. It worked till the neighbor girl went back home, and then my girlfriend started to yell again. I was trying to go to bed when my girlfriend was sitting on the floor in front of the bedroom door and wouldn't let me in. She had a radio and was threatening to play it loud to wake everyone up in the trailer park. I pushed my way into the bedroom, and she got mad at me and hit me in the face and scratched me on the arm. The neighbor girl came again and saw that my girlfriend was fighting with me and called the sheriff. When the sheriff came, they told my girlfriend that they could charge her because I had the scares and she was the one that had been yelling. Her dog got scared and took off out the door, and it took 2 weeks to get her back. After all this was going on, Hurricane Katrina hit on August of 2005. I told her that I wanted to help because I have all the training with the American Red Cross. She was not too happy. She thought that I was going to leave her. I went to my parents for a week, and when they were away on vacation. When I got back to Coshocton, Ohio, I started taking training to go to wherever the Red Cross sent me. I was also finishing up my home course with Stratford Career Institute for my diploma in psychology and social work. I earned my diploma with a 95% passing grade. I had the diploma sent to my parents' address so my girlfriend wouldn't try to destroy it. After I got done with my training and I was waiting to see where I was going to be sent, it was getting cooler and I went to turn on the furnace and I smelled gas. I tried to call the landlord's handyman, but there was no answer, and I tried to call the landlord who owned a used car lot and other rental property in and around Coshocton, Ohio, to tell him about the gas leak, but I couldn't get a hold of him. One day when I was driving my Dodge Ram 250 van uptown, my girlfriend made me mad, and I gunned the motor fast when the light turned green and the transmission went out. I had to get a tow truck to get my van and take it to my parents' place. My parents helped me get another Dodge Caravan. I stayed with my parents to get the van, and one day I got a call from Crick that my girlfriend was throwing everything of mine out the door of the mobile home. When I got there, my girlfriend had locked herself in the bedroom, and all my stuff was out on the yard. I needed help, so I called my parents to come and help. I also got my ex-wife to help. My girlfriend was calling the sheriff a lot till they stopped by to tell her that they were going to arrest her. I moved in with my parents, and one day I got a call from Crick that my now ex-girlfriend was having two men over, and one of them tried to get her to have sex with him. I got a call in October to go to Gulfport, Biloxi, Mississippi, and they would fly me down. I left on October 4th, 2005, and I go down there later that day. I stayed at the Air Force Base in Gulfport, Biloxi, Mississippi. All the volunteers stayed in a big building, and there were not only Red Cross volunteers, but search and rescue, electric power, and college students working through AmeriCorps. I was first stationed at the Biloxi Community Center, where it was hard hit passing out cleaning supplies, water, and some food as well. I was working there for 3 days till the Red Cross shut that down, and they had me do some odd jobs at the head office. I worked there for another 2 days till they found me a place at the Gautier, Mississippi Community Center, where the Red Cross had a shelter set up. I worked in between intake and food distribution. There were 4 young college girls that were working through the AmeriCorps that I was stationed there to help the Red Cross. They were working so they could get a scholarship for college. There was a young man who was a firefighter from Pennsylvania, and there was this young college girl that hit it off and hooked up. I was just teasing them one day and said that they would make a good couple. They became a couple and slept together till the manager got sick and had to be flown home. The assistant manager took over till they sent a young man to take over that was doing something else instead of managing. We turned him in because he was not doing things right. He woke me up one night and said that I was snoring. Later on, the assistant manager got sick after visiting New Orleans, Louisiana, and had to be flown home as well. Then the Red Cross put out a warning that no one was to go to New Orleans, Louisiana on their days off. I got 2 days off every other weekend. On my first weekend off, a nurse took me around to see the destruction in and around Gulfport and Biloxi areas. We drove around for hours and went back to the Air Force Base to visit some people and eat some good food at the catering company that provided the food for the volunteers. It got late and we went back to the shelter. On my second weekend off, I drove the car around the area with another nurse friend I made down there. She was into looking at headstones and finding out about people who died and put the information on a website. I stopped at a shop where they were making shirts and hats for all the volunteers. I bought 4 shirts and 1 hat. We drove around for hours and went to the shelter. I had a good time meeting new people and helping people as well. There was a social worker that came there that took over for another one that left when her 3 weeks were up. This new social worker was an older lady, but she asked my advice on some people that were there after I told her that I was a pastoral counselor and I had a diploma in psychology and social work as well. There was an older lady that stayed in the shelter till her home was fixed, but she kept coming around to visit another older lady that was in the shelter. The social worker asked my advice on what I thought the reason she was still coming around when she had no reason to. I told her what I thought, and she gave me an assignment to try to talk to this lady and try to get her other community help if she needed it. I worked the assignment till a bunch of new people came in to disband the shelter and move everyone either to a camper or the ship. Here is a photo of me with the friends I made while working with the Red Cross. That was the time I and 4 others were about to head home. We had to go through the out processing, and we had to stay one night at the Air Force Base. I got home, and my parents picked me up the night of November 14th, 2005. We stayed in a hotel in Canton, Ohio, before returning home. I was told that my now ex-girlfriend had got a U-Haul truck and moved back to Michigan.